What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who ranking video. Today I'm going to be ranking every episode 13 from series 1 to 7. This is the last episode of the ranking episodes series. We've gone all the way from episode 1 to episode 13. We had series 1 to 12 for up to episode 10. Then we only had series 1 to 10 for 11 and 12, and now we've just got series 1 to 7 for episode 13, so this will hopefully be a little bit of a shorter video, but yeah, it's the big finales for series 1 to 7, so yeah, without further ado, remember this is my personal opinion, my personal ranking, but I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Please be respectful and all that good stuff. So anyway, let's get started. Number 7. The Wedding of River Song from Series 6. Now this is quite an easy one to put last place. The Wedding of River Song is just a big disappointment for a series that started out really interesting with its whole story arc of, the Doctor actually dying in the first episode of the series. I thought that whole thing, the first half of the series really was really interesting, but then the second half of the series, pretty much after Let's Kill Hitler, really went downhill, and The Wedding of River Song, it pretty much ties everything up at the end, but doesn't do it in a satisfying way, in my opinion, and it's just a bit of a mess. You've got the whole Madame Kavarian thing, which is okay, but yeah, I mean, yeah. You've got just a lot of. We've got the Tesselector back again. I hate how they kill the Doctor, but it turns out it's actually the Tesselector. You've got the Doctor and River kissing for an unknown reason. They could have just touched. They didn't need to kiss. It's just, why did they have a wedding? And it's just, I don't know. In my opinion, it's just a big mess of an episode to round out a pretty all over the place series. Number 6. Last of the Time Lords from Series 3. Now, there's no denying that I do really like the Series 3 finale. It's basically a trilogy of episodes instead of just a two-part finale, and yeah, in my opinion it does get worse, and I think in most people's opinions it does get worse the further it goes through. Last of the Time Lords generally I think is pretty good. I mean, you've got the Doctor becoming even older than he was. He got turned into the old man in Sound of Drums, and then in Last of the Time Lords he gets turned into the tiny little thousands and thousands year old little creature, which is a little bit silly and a bit strange, but it's alright. The main issue with this one for me is kind of the end, where people praying basically brings the Doctor back to his normal self. It's just a bit too cliche and a bit, that's just convenient that people can just pray and the Doctor's back again. I love the stuff with Martha though, going off on her own to try and figure things out and that whole thing, but yeah, I think just the way it ends, the way it all wraps up the whole thing is a little bit rubbish. Number 5. The Name of the Doctor from Series 7. Now, I've kind of had mixed opinions with this episode. It used to be my favourite episode of Series 7. It's not quite my favourite anymore. I think there's a couple of episodes in that series, like A Town Called Mercy, maybe even to some extent like The Crimson Horror and Angels Take Manhattan, maybe, that I do actually prefer over The Name of the Doctor, but The Name of the Doctor is still pretty good. Of course, the big cliffhanger at the end of John Hurt the War Doctor, which sets up the Day of the Doctor, which is a brilliant episode, of course. And the general story itself of going to Trenzalore finally, it's daunting. I love Trenzalore. I love having this giant, the TARDIS is as big as it kind of should be, I suppose. I like that. You've got, the Paternoster gang back again, which it's cool to see them. And, basically turning evil, like, the Strax turning evil, because with the Doctor not around, that's what would have happened. This one is pretty good. I like how you've got the Great Intelligence back again, but at the same time, I don't really know how I feel about Clara jumping into the Doctor's timeline and changing everything. It makes Clara way too important. I actually don't hate it as much as I thought, but it does make her a bit too important in my opinion. Other than that though, I can sit down and watch this one and enjoy it quite a bit. Number 4. The Big Bang from Series 5. Now this episode, there's no lying, it's a bit of a mess. The Pandorica Opens, the episode before this, is brilliant. It's one of my favourite episodes from the Matt Smith era. The Big Bang isn't as good in my opinion, although I've come to like it a lot more over the years. Of course, you've got the start where, at the end of the Pandorica Opens, the Doctor's in the Pandorica, at the start of the Big Bang, we find out that Amy's now in the Pandorica, and we get this whole thing of the Doctor told Rory the Doctor was in the future, and he came back to tell Rory to put Amy in the Pandorica, and then gave him the sonic screwdriver, and then there's this whole thing there, and Rory stays with the Pandorica to guard it all these years, and it gets a little bit confusing and all over the place, but once you've watched it a couple of times, you start to wrap your head around it, and you know what, generally, I think it's quite interesting. Yes, it is a complete Moffatism of a story, for sure, but you know what, as a whole, especially with the Pandorica opens, it is quite good. Number 3. Doomsday from Series 2. Now, this finale is a big one because it is the first time we've ever seen, and at this current point in time, the only time really, we've seen Daleks versus Cybermen, with kind of the Doctor and everyone in the middle. And it was a really big moment for Doctor Who, for sure. I do think personally, and it doesn't get as high of a spot because it does make the Cybermen look a bit crap. You know, you've got only 4 Daleks, and they pretty much destroy the Cybermen. There's no threat. None of the Daleks die at all. None of them get killed. But lots and lots of Cybermen get killed. So, yeah, it does make... I mean, it makes the Daleks look absolutely ruthless, which I guess they are, but it does kind of, in the process, make the Cybermen look a bit crap. I kind of like how the Doctor and that somewhat, you know, team up with the Cybermen to destroy the Daleks. I like that, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think after the Cybermen looking really cool in, you know, their previous story of the series and in the Army of Ghosts, the Daleks do kind of come along and just, you know, destroy them a bit. You've also, of course, got Rose's departure in this one, which is very sad for sure. And yeah, it's definitely a very enjoyable episode. But yeah, I do think the Daleks, they kind of take the show a bit too much over the Cybermen. Number 2. The Parting of the Ways from Series 1. Now this is a just Dalek story, so we've only got the Daleks to focus on, and my god is it a good one. After Bad Wolf, which was a very good episode, but looking back on it now, like I said in the ranking episode 12 video, it hasn't aged too well with the whole, you know, game show thing. The Parting of the Ways is brilliant because it doesn't have any of that. You've got all these awesome characters like Lydia, who's great in this episode. You've got Captain Jack's back again, he's doing his great stuff. You've got the Daleks possibly at their most terrifying in the new series. I could almost probably say that, to be honest. You've got the Emperor Dalek, which is amazing. It looks so awesome. That whole scene of the Doctor, Jack and Rose going to the Emperor Dalek is terrifying, and it's amazing, and its voice is crazy. It's just altogether a brilliant episode. An amazing finale for Series 1. And departure for the 9th Doctor. Very, very sad stuff when he regenerates at the end. A great little speech by him. One of the best moments from Eccleston in my opinion. And altogether, yeah, it's a fantastic episode. Number 1. Journey's End from Series 4. Yep, probably no real surprise if you've seen my videos before. Stolen Earth Journey's End is pretty much my favourite episode of Doctor Who, my favourite story. It's another Dalek one. We've pretty much got Daleks 1, 2, 3 here, but there's a reason why we use the Daleks for the finales, because they just work really well. And in this one especially, I think it's the last time the Daleks were done proper good. I think ever since Journey's End, the closest we've come to anything like that recently is honestly Resolution. Nothing in the Smith, or really even the Capaldi era to that much of an extent, has come close to the RTD Daleks. Capaldi's era came close, but Smith's era for sure did the Daleks not very well, in my opinion. But yeah, Journey's End is brilliant. I mean, you've got the Daleks, you've got Davros at their most ruthless. You've got all these companions from the RTD era coming back, which is amazing. You've got just the Doctor regenerating back into the 10th Doctor again, which is crazy. You've got all the stuff with Rose, and the sad ending of Donna. I mean, Donna's finale, Donna's exit for this series is probably my favourite companion exit because it's so sad. And yeah, Journey's End for me is just pretty much perfection, to be honest. Alright, so that's my ranking of every episode 13 from the new series of Doctor Who, and in turn, that is all the episodes ranked. So yeah, there's no more of these videos to do. So for ranking videos in the future, I've already got a couple up my sleeve. I want to do I'm not sure if it's the post-regeneration stories or the regeneration stories. I think it's the post-regeneration stories that I've still got to rank yet, because I've watched all of them now from the classic series and the new series, so that'll be a pretty soon one. I've also got all the Dalek stories to rank. However, I will now that it's to the point that it is and we've got Revolution of the Daleks coming up in a month or so, I'll probably wait until that's released and then do a Dalek ranking of every Dalek story, not including the ones that aren't released in some form from the classic series. I'll be doing that once Revolution of the Daleks has been out and I've watched that a couple of times. And then yeah, there's a couple of other ranking videos that I've got thoughts of in my head. So yeah, that is it for now. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoy, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, link is in the description down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.